All right, it's good to see everyone here this afternoon. There are some special folks in attendance that got us to where we are. I would like to first ask our past presidents in attendance to please stand. Let's all give them a round of applause, please. We've got quite a few of them here today. I would like now to recognize your current board of directors. You saw these folks on the loop that played before the meeting. Would all members of the 2024 board of directors please stand? Thank you for your service and all that you do on behalf of the association. Being on the leadership team does not happen overnight, and we need to support, feedback, input, and help to advance the goals and objectives of the association. In September, OBAR will be looking for members to serve on a 2025 committee or just help out with one of our programs and projects planned for the next year. And lastly, these folks have stepped up to the plate this year to serve as our community partners. Through investment dollars and volunteer support, the participation of our partners help offset the cost of association programming and helps keep your dues low.
You know, it'll be almost 40 years we've never had a dues increase.
40 years, you hear that? We have not had a dues increase. We have 4 levels of partnership that we have been highlighting at every meeting and event throughout the year. At the office and on our partner banners. If you are a silver, gold, diamond, or platinum Good Neighbor partner, please stand so that our membership can thank you for your support. Our silver partners, Tidewater Home Funding, Twitty since 1978, Southern Bank, Southern Trust, Pro Solutions Pest Control, RBA, Own Real Estate, Master Heating and Cooling, Howard Hanna Real Estate Services, East Home Services, Coast Realty, Atlantic Coast. These are our silver community partners. Also our gold partners, Carolina Design Realty, Elite Insurance Agency, Joe Lamb Jr. Associates, Saga Realty and Construction, Town Bank Mortgage, Village Realty. And on our diamond community partners, we have First Bank, Brindley Beach Vacation and Sales, Bankers Insurance, Arbor Home Loans, and our platinum community partner is Stephen Gillis with State Farm. Stephen, would you like to say anything?
He cannot make it today.
Oh, sorry. It's so big I didn't see he was missing. Thank you very much, Stephen. All right, so since our April general membership meeting, we have had several new members join the association. With Membership Services Chair Maslin Seal, I would like to take the opportunity to recognize our new members. Do we have any new members attending today that have completed all new member orientation requirements? If so, please stand. Please stay after the meeting for a picture with Chair Maslin Seal for our local paper. Our next member orientation is scheduled for September 5th, and thanks for your support. At this time, I would like to call Stephanie Walker up to the podium. Last week, North Carolina Realtors held an election for 2025 officers and directors. There was a contested race for the NAR at-large director seat, with 3 candidates on the ballot. I sent a letter to membership on the last day of the election asking that you vote for one of our own, and many of you heeded the call. I am very excited to officially announce that Stephanie Walker generated the most votes. Stephanie, we're very proud of all you've accomplished, and these are for you to show our appreciation of your service to OBAR and the region. Please join me in congratulating Stephanie as the NCR NAR Director at Large. Would you please stay up here with me on the next item of the agenda too, Stephanie? Yeah, you're not. Please stay up here with me, would you?
So I just want to thank everybody who cast a vote. It really did make a difference. If you look at the vote totals, it was huge. And so thank you guys very, very much.
Okay, Stephanie's going to stay up with me.
What she didn't say was it was a landslide because of OBAR members. So there you go. Thank you.
It's amazing what happens when we all pull together.
It is.
Thank you, Stephanie. As you can see on the agenda, we have a very special presentation. NAR Emeritus Inductees. When I say this is special, I can't remember ever having any member inducted as an emeritus member of NAR. Do you recall, Stephanie? Any? Emeritus typically is used to identify someone that still holds a title or position after they retire, but in the realtor world, it means something different. NAR Realtor Emeritus status is given to a realtor who has been an active realtor for at least 40 years and has served at least 1 year on a national committee. Earlier this year, after submitting applications, OBAR was notified that 5 members were approved for National Realtor Emeritus status at the NAR Realtor Legislative meetings in May. In addition to being bestowed such a distinctive honor and designation, beginning in 2025, these realtors will no longer be included in NAR dues calculations. Free dues. At this time, I would like to call each recipient to the podium to present them with the Emeritus Certificate, letter, and pin. John Myers. David Parrott. Jackie Rick Sample. David Watson. With over 200 years of real estate experience standing in front of you, we're looking at the wealth of real estate knowledge, grit, resiliency, adaptability, and perseverance. Any words of advice to your colleagues?
Let's start with David Watson's always got some words of advice.
I've enjoyed being a realtor for almost 50 years. And I was thinking about quitting, but since the dues are going to be free, I'm in. I'm all in.
I'm at a loss of words.
Really?
No, not
I
really.
was going to say, I think John Myers, I know.
I can't say what I want to say. Thank you all.
They always kick me off the podium for talking too much, but I just wanted to share some quick things with you. This we're going to go over later, the form changes. Trust me, it's no big deal. Excuse my hand for shaking. It's Parkinson's, but that's okay. I'm good with it. But real quickly, because I don't want to kick me off. So when I started in 1980, the interest rates were 18%. We didn't have an MLS. So, and we didn't get an MLS until 1985, which was book form, one photo, about a 3x6 little area with 15 fields in it, and you had to call around and ask what they had for sale. You couldn't call on your cell phone. So you're riding down the street to go show property, and the buyer says, well, what about that one? Had a new sign on it. I don't know. So then you had to go find a phone booth. And if you found the phone booth, and I had my favorite ones, you had to call and say, can I show it? And then I learned the hard way that just because they let you show it didn't mean they'd co-broke with you. Can I show it? Will you co-broke with me? And then I found out that just because they said those two things didn't mean they would pay the commission I was looking for. So can I show it? Will you co-broke with me? What is the commission? Great. You can show it today. You have to come get a key. There were no lock boxes. So if you were lucky enough to write an offer, the good news back then was it was only 2 pages long. You had to bring it back to the office. We didn't have a fax machine. They didn't come out until 1987 when you and I opened up Resort Realty. That we bought a $1,500 fax machine, and we couldn't find anybody else that had one. And when we told them what they did, they said, right, you should send paper through the phone. And then we found out a couple months later that it was thermal paper and the image would disappear. So we had to make copies of everything we faxed after that. And it wasn't legal yet. So anyway, my point to all this is it could be a hell of a lot harder than just calling around to say, what is the commission, if any, that you're offering? So don't get lost in the weeds with what we're going through this afternoon.
Okay. There's not much to add after that, David. Thank you. I would like to just mention one memory that sticks in my mind so clearly, and that was the first time that I bought my first lot in First Flight Village. It was listed by Jim Perry at Jim Perry and Company. So as David mentioned, I had to call and ask if I could co-broke that lot. Jim Perry made me go sit in front of him at his desk and grill me about whether or not he would let me sell that lot to myself. And I have had more fun giving him a hard time about that. But yeah, things have changed a lot. Certainly the Realtor organization has opened a lot of doors for a lot of us, and I'm very grateful for this organization.
One thing. Sorry about that. To give you some more context, real briefly, I just want to let you know when I became a realtor in 1981, and there wasn't really a need to because we didn't have an MLS. But I wanted to go to GRI, and I could get a discount by being a realtor. So when I was inducted, Tim Midget was president. I was the 41st member in 1981. And 15 of those were at Midget Realty on Hatteras Island.
Paul Bro was also awarded the emeritus status. He could not be with us here today, but we will get his certificate, letter, and pin to him as well. How about a big round of applause for everybody? We would like to get a picture of you all in the lobby, if you would. Dave Watson, I'd like to get a picture of you all in the lobby, please. Yeah, right now. And on to reports. Would Secretary Shelley O'Grady please come forward?
Good afternoon. The meeting minutes from the last meeting, which was in April for the general membership meeting, are in your packet on your table. Are there any changes to said minutes? If hearing none, then the minutes stand approved, and I forget the last word. Yes. Here, you could do a better job.
Yeah,
Thanks,
right on
Heather.
quick. Good morning, or afternoon, I guess. A copy of the treasurer's report is in your packet. Are there any questions? That's what I like to hear. Lori Brooks, would you come up and speak about RPAC?
Okay, hi, I'm here to deliver the RPAC report. The good news is we have met our dollar goal for 2024. That's awesome. That's in part to the ones that have invested this year and also to our major investors. If you are a major investor, could you please stand and be recognized? Thank you very much. Those folks that just stood have pledged to invest more than $1,000 because they believe that our industry is worth fighting for. Now, I'm not asking for everyone to give $1,000. I'm only asking for you to do your fair share. What's your fair share? $15. How easy is it to invest? You can go right onto the Paragon homepage, and at the top left corner, under your links of interest, it says invest in RPAC. You need your NERDS number, you go in, you pop that in, you put your credit card in, $15, and you're invested in RPAC. Now, how many have already invested in RPAC this year? Any dollar amount? Okay? So those of you who did not raise your hand, I need all of you to go back to your offices, do the $15, and I will have met the participation goal that President Tolson has put upon me. We are shooting for Triple Crown again this year. We got it last year. We want it again this year. We want the Outer Banks to be recognized. Why is RPAC important? You've heard me say this before. I've come to many of your offices, and I've spoken to a lot of you directly, and I have my wonderful committee. A few of you are here out there talking to you guys as well. If you don't understand what RPAC is, please come talk to any of us. Talk to the ladies and gentlemen that were up here just a few minutes ago, and they will share with you the importance of RPAC. Guys, this business has been very good to me for the past 20 plus years, and I want it to continue. And without RPAC and without us standing up for our realtor industry, we're not gonna have an industry, or we're gonna be taxed way, way, way more than we already are, okay? So this is an organization that goes and supports realtor issues. It's not about politics, it's not about red, it's not about blue, it's about purple. We are the Purple Party. We fight for realtor party rights, private property rights, and we support candidates that support us. I want to be doing this for the next 20 plus years, and I want everybody else here to be able to do it as well. So thank you very much. Please, please, please invest in RPAC. Right, so those of you who are new in the industry, you may not know, or those of you that have been doing it for a long time but never paid it, we were supposed to be paying a privilege license tax. How many know what the privilege license tax is? Every hand should go up or the Department of Revenue is gonna be looking at you. Anyway, you don't have to pay that anymore, and you know why? Because NC Realtors lobbied against it, okay? We said this is a stupid tax. It's $50 that just went nowhere, and so we don't have to pay that anymore, right? So I'm only asking for 15 of that. You can keep the other 35, or if you want to give me all the 50, that's fine too. I'm happy to take that as well. But these are just a few of the things. What about septics at the beginning of the year? Remember we had the general membership meeting and we stood here and we were like, oh my gosh, this septic thing is crazy. We were talking about going to, instead of replacing the septic, we had to go to a drain field that was going to cost $60,000+ and really put some of our homeowners in a jam. We lobbied against that. Guess what? It got repealed. We didn't get everything we want, but we got the bulk of it, which is the main thing. Yes, clap, that's big. It's big for our area. These guys in Raleigh and even here at the local level, they have no idea what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And it's our job to get in front of them and tell them what that is. And your participation and your dollars do just that. So remember that. This is the cheapest thing that you can invest in your business. It is important for us to have a seat at the table. I'm very passionate about this. If you have any questions or you want to, what's the right word I'm looking for? Challenge me on why this is important, come talk to me. I'm happy to share why it's important. I need 46, that's why I said, every one of you that had your hands down when I said who invested, that's about 40 plus of you. If every one of you went back to your offices and invested today, I'd hit my goal and President Tolson would be very happy with me, okay? So thank you very much, y'all have a great day.
Hello, everyone. I am Tammy Aycock. I am the co-chair of the 27th Annual OBAR Surf Fishing Tournament this year. And there should be some flyers on your tables, and we are looking for teams. We are just getting ready to end our early bird special, which ends the end of this month, which will save you $100 per team. It's going to be on Friday, October the 4th. Fishing's going to be from 6:30 to 12:30 this year, and then we're going to have an awards ceremony and lunch at the Village Beach Club. We also have our Yeti pre-raffle prize out here, so buy your raffle tickets. Christy?
Hey everybody, I am your CYA chairperson, which was formerly known Realtor Fest. First off, the committee has been working very, very hard to create an amazing event that will occur on November the 14th. Registration is open, so register because space is limited. It will be at the Hilton Ballroom, so you want to get the early bird special, and you want to be there because we're going to have Lee Brown and other hot topics. So of what's happening. Has the dust settled yet? It's a hot topic. And paving the broken road to short-term rentals to closings. Also, we're going to be talking scams. There's going to be panels. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. November the 14th, Hilton Ballroom from 1 to 4, and then there will be a private VIP reception. So anyway, register. We're looking for sponsors. So if you're interested in sponsoring, please go on, let us know. Hats off to this committee. This committee has worked beyond any expectation. They've worked hard for you guys. So please participate. This is an amazing event, and it is brought to you by the association to give benefits. So see you there.
Okay, everybody. When you came in, we put together something easy peasy for you. It's a list of our upcoming events starting in September. And I just wanted to review because September is a big month for the association. It's when we open the leadership candidate application. So if you've ever thought of serving on the board, you can look in our policy manual right on the website, Policy Manual A, as far as criteria before the actual applications go out. You must have served on a committee or on the board in the last 7 years. And then it starts from there. So, and then there's other criteria with regards to president-elect seat is open, treasurer, secretary, our property management director, and there will be 3 board seats open. So consider serving on the board of directors. It's a great way to, actually the folks that I know that have served on the board said it just definitely has helped their business. Our 2025 committee drive opens in September. Please consider serving on a committee. The committee is what makes everything work, going to the board with requests from the committee. We'll be looking for a Career Achievement Award nominations and also Realtor of the Year. Our Career Achievement Award is presented at our annual meeting, and as you can see, that's going to be on October 24th, and it will be here at Captain George's. Our Realtor of the Year is going to be awarded at our Realtor Ball. This is President-elect Christie's party, so to speak. Richard had his last year at the Hilton, but Christy Bryant will have hers at the Hilton Garden Inn Ballroom this year on December 6th. Mark your calendars for that. We are offering all kinds of CE and professional development opportunities. By way of Chair J.P. Perrone on the Education Committee and all of the Education Committee members, we are, and approval that you did last year for the budget for this year was free CE. It will be offered by way of Zoom September 24th, 25th, and 26th. Our elective is already at capacity at over 100. There may be some people that cancel their registration, but we have 107 people registered for that class. We have 91 registered for the Bic Up and 79 for the Gen Up. So it's filling up fast. We're stopping at 100. So if you want free CE, that's $70 right there in your dues that we put forth towards your CE training. We also have, and also that elective that Stephanie Walker will be teaching, Risky Business, Doing It Right, also counts toward Code of Ethics training. When I sent out the acronym email to all BICs, I said, come on, BICs. We've got over 400 members that have not had their Code of Ethics training in the last 3 years, and the deadline is this year. So what happens in the office is Karen, Membership Services Liaison, is contacting members to see if they have taken it, have they sent us our certificate, and what happens if we don't have it on file that you've taken Code of Ethics training is by March of next year, your membership could be dropped. You have got to have Code of Ethics training. Just a heads up for next year, it will be required of all members in the same 3-year cycle with Code of Ethics training. You will have to complete Fairhaven. Fairhaven is an hour, to get through to just make you think about diversity, equity, inclusion, and fair housing. So that will be a requirement next year in the Code of Ethics cycle that starts January 1. Looking at what we've got October 8th and 9th, everybody in here, you're showing up, you're participating. You should sign up for the in-person free accredited buyer's representative course. Get that ABR designation. This is the first step, and we're offering it to you for free. It's a $295 course. Stephanie Walker will be teaching that. We did have on the flyers that it would be held at the OBAR office. We're partnering with the Albemarle Association of Realtors on this event, and so it looks like we may be moving it to either the Ramada or the Comfort Inn. Depending upon availability. So you can see what's coming up. We are offering free, we are offering CE. It will not be free. It will probably be more about $60, $65 per class. And that will be at the Hilton. Registration is not open for that yet. And as you can see, CYA Summit, we're very, very excited about this. 4 sessions, all interactive, 1 to 5, 5 to 6:30 VIP reception for attendees, our sponsors, and others involved in this event. It is going to be a signature event for OBAR. So we should all be worried about CYA covering your assets. So and navigating this new era of real estate and protecting you. And I think with that, in looking at how we're going to be navigating in 3 months from now, look at the poster, sign up. Everything takes you, the QR code takes you to our website. You can see all these exciting things that we have to offer you. And now we've got a panel discussion, which I'm sure we're all interested in. And I'm going to pull up Heather Sisk, will be joining us from NC Realtors. She's an attorney with NC Realtors. NC Realtors has provided opportunities on their YouTube channel with videos about the forms. But I'd like to call Richard Hess. He's on our board of directors and serves on the MLS committee. I'd like to call Richard Tolson up, our president. I would like to call Tammy Aycock, who is your MLS committee chair, up here. And I've got Dan Sutherland as our MLS director. We might need Dan the man for some backup here. And Stephanie Walker definitely needs to be up here. She left. She got flowers. She's out of here. Stephanie Walker, as serving in the capacity of an NAR director on the NAR leadership team, definitely needs to be up here and part of this conversation. We've broken it out a little bit on the agenda with regards to topics. So we'll start. So this is not just like a and a free-for-all of what we're doing, but we would like to have some organization to this. So Richard, I'm going to turn on the Zoom with Heather. In case you didn't know, Benny Baldwin, thank you very much for being here and recording this. We're professionally recorded today and with sound, so that for those that didn't make it can watch this if they were unable to be here today. So, Richard, I'm going to turn it over to you to begin the discussion. And there's some topics that we talked about. We know we've had a lot of questions in the office, a lot of questions to Dan, MLS, Tammy Aycock, committee chairs fielded a ton of questions. So to start it off, we're here because we opted into the settlement agreement to protect all of you. And Stephanie can probably follow up on that.
That's right. Thank you, Willow. So why are we here? Absolutely. We are here because we opted into the settlement agreement. From the beginning, the litigation that we were facing, and then the settlement that we decided to agree to, we basically had two goals. And one was to secure a release of liability for as many of our members, associations, and MLSs as we could, and to preserve the choices consumers have regarding real estate services and compensation. And opting into this settlement allowed us to achieve both of those goals. So with the key terms, and I'm not going to, trust me, I'm not going to recite the terms of the settlement, but the release of the liability was the primary one. So the NAR, and we would have probably incurred many years of litigation and a cost that was, we couldn't absorb. So it made a lot of sense to do that. What does it do? Compensation offers are moved off the MLS. We all know that. However, we're still able to preserve offers of compensation. Written agreements for MLS participants acting for buyers. We kind of been practicing that for a while. A lot of us, I won't say all of us, but a lot of us have generally, we've acted on oral agreements. We talk to buyers about working with real estate agents, the different options available in terms of agency and how we get paid. So we just now need to put that in writing when we first start working with buyers and touring homes. The settlement payment, it would have been huge if we didn't agree, but we agreed to pay $418 million. Your dues are not going up in 2024, and again, they're not going up in 2025, but we're pretty sure at some point we'll see some dues increases. And the most important thing is NAR continues to deny any wrongdoing. So we've got some settlement practices that we need to start dealing with, but we can continue to offer compensation. So that's kind of what the settlement is in a nutshell. I'm just going to kind of give a brief synopsis of probably why we're kind of in this position. you know, it has very much to do with the offer of compensation. And, you know, if you think about it, when we go and we meet, and this is just my personal opinion, this isn't OBAR talking or anything like that, but when we sit down and we discuss listing a property with a seller, you know, we get into all the things that we're going to do, and we talk about our commission, our fee, and generally, you know, we get an agreement, and then that agent agrees to offer compensation to a buyer's agent. And I think the settlement, in their mind, in their eyes, they kind of felt like that seller maybe didn't quite have a say in what that compensation might have been to an agent. They just know that they're agreeing to a fee, and it goes on from there. Likewise, on the buyer side, you know, a buyer reaches out to an agent for professional representation. And, you know, we explain what agency is and how we get paid, but, you know, offers of compensations are made. The buyer feels good that they don't have to pay anything, but at the same time, they're hiring a professional to represent them, and they really don't have any say in what that fee might be. And so just playing the devil's advocate, that's a little bit of what the lawsuit was all about, you know. And in other words, you know, we know that we have free market capitalism, and we want the markets to kind of, you know, reflect what the fees and things are, and that's really what they're trying to do. They're trying to let the markets determine what those fees are going to be. We all know that we bring tremendous value to the table. We've always, you know, represented our clients to the best of our ability, and we've been paid in the end. And we're going to continue to be able to do that. We're just going to have to, you know, learn these new practices and kind of follow the rules so we stay out of trouble. It's not that difficult. It's something that we've been doing for years, and we're just going to have to, you know, continue on with that. So that's about all I've got for opening statements. Wasn't quite sure how we were going to handle this, but should we open up with questions, or what do you guys think? Oh, and we also have Heather Sisk with us too. Hey, Heather, how you doing? All right, so well, I guess we'll kind of open up with some questions. And show of a hand, if you have a question, please stand up. We'll try to repeat the question so everybody knows what it is.
While you get your courage up, one thing I want to clarify, this lawsuit was brought in a state that did not have buyer agency. And just so everybody understands, only 19 states in the country had buyer agency prior to this lawsuit, and North Carolina was one of them. So we have to think of the perspective from the lawsuit. 31 states, they didn't have buyer agency. And so people did not know what was going on. They didn't know where the money was going or who was paying what or who was being represented clearly. North Carolina has been very clear for, I guess, 20 years or so, where we've disclosed what the total commission is and that the listing agent is sharing their compensation with the buyer's agent and how much that is. And it's a little ironic to me that we're clarifying something that was never the law in North Carolina. It was always negotiable, and it was clearly spelled out. So keep in mind that the perspective for the majority of the country is a lot different than it is here, but the lawsuit was national, and that's why we're all in it.
Yeah, so what Richard was saying about so few of the states that had buyer agency is absolutely right. I happened to be in Kentucky when the settlement was announced, and I was doing 5 different boards in the state of Kentucky. They had never used a buyer agency agreement. Imagine if that's how we'd been doing our business, how scary this whole thing would be. You guys, we are so fortunate that we've had the disclosure requirements that we've had for as long as we've had them. And so while it's different, the transition for us is so much easier than it's going to be for a whole lot of other states, because we're really not doing anything different. Yeah, you have to have an agreement to show a house now. We kind of had to have these conversations before we did that anyway. Now we just have to have it in writing. So not a terribly huge problem.
Heather, can you hear us?
everything everyone said so far is absolutely right. We are only one of a handful of states who have already implemented buyer agency agreements before the settlement. So we are in a really, really good spot. So that should make you guys feel a little more comfortable with these changes. I know it's a lot of information at one time, but I'm happy to be a resource for all of you. And if you have even after, I will give you my email address and you can ask me anything you come up with.
Thank you, Heather. Did Elizabeth Cloninger have a question? The question is, there's been different interpretations as to whether or not compensation is a concession.
Or is concession compensation?
Or, sorry, it's concession compensation. Well, the answer is yes, concessions can be compensation. In other words, one of the things that we are permitted to leave in the MLS are concessions to buyers. And it's perfectly allowable for a buyer to receive a closing cost concession, and with that concession, they can pay compensation to a buyer's agent. And the important thing there is, being that it's a concession to the buyer has control of that money, not the agent. Therefore, the buyer, being a concession, they can use that money however they see fit. They could buy down points on a mortgage. They can pay closing costs. They can apply it to repairs, and they can compensate their buyer's agent.
Do we want to weigh in from Heather there? Heather, did you hear the question with regards to compensation versus concession?
Yeah, so my understanding of that is that you can list concessions in MLS, but you cannot limit those concessions to an agent's commissions being paid, if that makes sense. And you cannot condition those concessions on that.
Correct. So you cannot, as far as any concessions, you cannot put a percentage sign in concessions. They can be used for repairs, closing costs, etc., as long as it is not conditioned upon a buyer's agent's compensation. So. Okay, in the back.
So my question is, lenders will only let your concessions be 2% on an investment property. That, I mean, what I'm running up against is that buyers don't want to pay. You know, and it's hard to get through the buyer's agency agreement with people you haven't ever met that are coming into town. And the buyer's agency agreement doesn't address how we can negotiate that. Am I right about that? Like how we can do concessions? Like that's not really addressed in the new buyer's agency agreement, or have I missed it?
So first she brought up about lending and the limits on lending for investment properties, yes, versus second homes versus, they're different as far as lenders, what can be put in concessions. And then in working with new buyers, in understanding the whole buyer agency agreement, whether it's 1 week, 3 weeks, 2 years, whatever, buyer's agency agreement, whether you're gonna have a non-agency agreement, et cetera, in working through that. And I think, Richard, you talked earlier about your value. You know, you have to understand your value and what you're bringing to the table. You're not working for free. You are a realtor and have extreme value in helping someone with their home purchase. But Stephanie, you wanna?
I'm handing off to Tammy first. So I just wanted to speak to how you explain the fee to your buyer. There is a sentence that is right there that says that the buyer's agent does have the right to seek the compensation from the seller. So it's very clear in that agreement that Of course, that's probably going to be your first route, right? Is to ask the seller for compensation via 220 form.
Tricia, I think you work with a lot of high-end buyers. So in those jumbo mortgages, yes, they may only allow for 2% concessions. On some, it depends on the actual loan itself. In some cases, concessions are allowed up to 6% on some loans. And in other cases, it might be 3%. And I believe FHA is 4%. So it does depend on the buyer, the type of loan that they're getting, and in that scenario. I'm just going to say something, and again, every brokerage needs to conduct the business on how they choose. But again, like a lot of us have done in the past, we've talked about working with real estate agents. We've had an oral agreement that we're going to proceed under buyer agency. May I suggest that you take a good look at the non-exclusive buyer agency agreement. In that agreement, basically you do form an agency agreement. You also have the ability to put in there what you expect to receive in the transaction. And it does state that you will seek your commission from the seller or the listing agent's offer of compensation. It does not bind a buyer to paying you a buyer agency fee. And because it's non-exclusive, at any time you can enter into an exclusive agency agreement. So it's really a good vehicle to use. And keep in mind that you can limit the scope of an agency agreement. You can tie it specifically to a property. You can tie it to a specific area. You have to learn how to articulate that to your buyer, that there are many different ways that, one, you can be paid, and two, you can proceed much like you would in a oral buyer agency under the non-exclusive. So if you haven't looked at the non-exclusive agency agreement, I recommend you do that.
And I will follow up and say that most, like Fannie and Freddie right now, will allow for a seller concession. They will also allow for a buyer agent's commission, and it's separate from that concession amount.
They just changed that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Just changed it today.
And yeah, so it brand new, hot off the press. They've been talking about it for a while.
I mean, it's funny, I just got an email this morning from Fannie Mae that said, we're not changing anything. We're going to pay buyer's agents like we always have. Freddie Mac sent me an email that said that they interpreted the legal lawsuit that they were no longer allowed to pay buyer agents commissions.
They're wrong.
But they're wrong about that. But they would up front say that